10 foods that could kill your dog. Your dog would eat a rock if you dropped it. They have no filter. They trust you completely to know the difference between dinner and poison, which is a lot of faith to place in a species that also drinks from the toilet. So here's the uncomfortable part. Some of the most dangerous things you could ever feed them are sitting in your kitchen right now. Not in a locked cabinet, on the counter, in the fruit bowl, in your own hand while you tell them no. These are the 10 foods most likely to send your dog to an emergency vet, counting down to the one that kills the fastest and gets mistaken for harmless the most. We start with the ones hiding in everything. Onions and garlic belong to a plant family with a compound dogs cannot safely process. It attacks their red blood cells directly, and the damage builds up quietly over days. The tricky part is dose. Leftover pasta sauce, a bit of stir-fry, garlic bread, even onion powder in a gravy counts. Small amounts often add up to a real problem. Signs show up late, which is exactly why it makes the list. Tiredness, weakness, pale gums, dark urine. By the time your dog looks unwell, the blood damage is already done. Table scraps are not a treat when the food is seasoned for humans. Macadamia nuts are strange because nobody actually knows why they do what they do. Scientists have not pinned down the exact toxin. They just know dogs who eat these specific nuts get sick in a very specific way, and no other nut does it the same. Within about 12 hours, you can see weakness in the back legs, wobbling, tremors, and a fever. A dog that suddenly cannot stand up after finding a bowl of nuts is a frightening thing to watch, even though most do pull through with treatment. The good news is that this one is rarely fatal on its own. The bad news is that macadamias love to arrive covered in chocolate, and now you have two problems at once. We will get to that second problem later. This one feels wrong, because giving a dog a bone is basically a cartoon. It is the single most iconic dog reward there is. A raw bone, supervised, is a debate for another day, but a cooked bone is a different object entirely. Cooking dries a bone out and makes it brittle. Instead of grinding down, it splinters into sharp shards that can lodge in the throat, puncture the stomach, or block the intestines. The Sunday roast leftover is one of the most common holiday emergencies vets see. So the drumstick you were about to hand over as a kindness is closer to a bag of broken glass. Bin the bones where the dog cannot reach the bin, because they will absolutely try the bin. Corn itself is not poisonous. A few kernels will not harm your dog. The problem is the cob, and the problem is entirely mechanical. A dog does not eat corn on the cob politely. They commit. They try to swallow the whole thing, and the cob is almost perfectly shaped to wedge in the intestines and get stuck. It does not dissolve. It does not pass. It sits there causing a blockage, and blockages often mean surgery. This is a classic backyard barbecue disaster. Everyone is distracted, a plate gets left low, and the dog inhales a cob in about 4 seconds. Keep the cobs out of reach and out of the compost, because that counts too. Avocado is a mixed bag, and the internet argues about it constantly, so let us be precise. The flesh contains a compound called persin, and dogs are more resistant to it than a lot of animals, so a small amount usually causes nothing worse than an upset stomach. The real danger is the pit. That big smooth stone is the perfect size and shape to become a choking hazard or an intestinal blockage, and it is coated in the most persin of any part of the fruit. So the risk here is less about poisoning and more about a dog swallowing a rock-hard seed they were never meant to eat. If you are making guacamole, the dog is not your quality control assistant. Keep the pits off the floor. This one should be obvious, and yet it lands people at the vet constantly, usually by accident. A dog's body is far smaller and far less equipped to handle alcohol than ours, so it takes a shockingly small amount to cause real harm. It is rarely someone deliberately giving a dog a drink. It is the unattended glass of wine on the coffee table. It is spilled beer at a party. It is rum-soaked fruitcake at Christmas, which sneaks in alcohol most people forget is there. Alcohol hits a dog's nervous system fast. You get disorientation, vomiting, trouble breathing, and in serious cases, a dangerous drop in body temperature and blood sugar. If it can get your dog drunk, it can put your dog in hospital. Keep the drinks up high. Now we move from the obvious into the genuinely sneaky, and xylitol is the sneakiest thing on this entire list. It is an artificial sweetener, and it is everywhere. Sugar-free gum, mints, some peanut butters, toothpaste, low-sugar baking, certain medicines. Here is why it is so dangerous. In a dog's body, xylitol tricks the pancreas into thinking a massive amount of real sugar just arrived. The pancreas dumps insulin to deal with sugar that is not there, and blood sugar crashes through the floor within minutes. In larger doses, it also causes liver failure. The part that terrifies vets is the innocence of it. Somebody gives their dog a spoon of peanut butter, not realizing this jar is the sugar-free kind. A dog steals a pack of gum from a handbag. It is a treat gone wrong, and it moves fast. Always check the label before you share anything sweet. Grapes earn a top 3 spot because of how random and how severe they are. For years, nobody knew why they were toxic. Recent research points to a compound in the fruit, but the science still cannot fully predict who gets hit hardest. That unpredictability is the danger. Some dogs eat grapes and are fine. Others eat a small handful and go into full kidney failure. There is no safe amount you can count on, and you have no way of knowing which dog yours is until it is too late. And raisins are worse because they are concentrated. A raisin is a grape with the water removed, so the toxin is packed tighter. That innocent oatmeal raisin cookie, the trail mix, the bit of Christmas pudding, all of it counts. If your dog eats grapes or raisins, that is a phone call to the vet, not a wait and see. The famous one. If a person knows exactly one food that is bad for dogs, it is this. But most people do not know why, or which chocolate is actually the threat, and the details matter a lot. Chocolate contains a stimulant called theobromine. Humans clear it out quickly. Dogs clear it out incredibly slowly, so it builds and overstimulates the heart and nervous system. You get a racing heart, restlessness, tremors, and in bad cases, seizures. Here's the key detail. The darker and more bitter the chocolate, the more theobromine, so a block of dark cooking chocolate is far more dangerous than a milk chocolate bar of the same size. A large dog might shrug off one small sweet. A small dog eating dark chocolate is a real emergency. Size of dog, type of chocolate, amount eaten. Those 3 numbers decide everything. Which brings us to number 1. And number 1 is not the most famous, and it is not the one you would guess. It is the one that kills the fastest while looking the most harmless, and it lives in more homes than any other item on this list. It is antifreeze. Not a food, technically, which is exactly why it is so lethal. It leaks from cars onto the garage floor and the driveway, and it tastes sweet. Dogs seek it out. They lap up a puddle that looks like water, and a tiny amount begins shutting down the kidneys almost immediately. The cruelty of it is the timeline. Early on, the dog might just seem a bit drunk and wobbly, then appear to recover, and an owner relaxes. Behind that false recovery, the kidneys are already failing, and by the time the dog looks truly sick, the window to save them has often closed. A suspected antifreeze case is a same-hour trip to the vet, not tomorrow morning. So the single most dangerous thing on this list is not in your fruit bowl or your cupboard. It is on the ground under your car, tasting like a treat, and your dog has no idea. If there is one thread running through all 10, it is this. Your dog cannot read a label, cannot judge a dose, and cannot tell sweet and safe from sweet and lethal. That judgment is entirely your job. You do not need to become paranoid about it. Just know what these 10 are, keep them off the floor and out of the low bin, and know that a fast phone call to a vet beats a slow wait every single time. A dog that trusts you completely deserves an owner who knows what is actually in the kitchen. If this helped, subscribe, because we do the stories nobody warns you about, badly drawn.